Imagine having 500K in business funding at your disposal. What would that do for you? Would you be able to either start, grow, or scale your company with 500K? I'm imagining so. So, on this video, I'm going to break this all the way down. So, you're going to have to stick all the way into the end because at the end, I'm going to show you a funding strategy that you could use to get 500K in business funding. But before then, we have to talk about how to even qualify for it. So without any further ado, let's get it. What's going on? It's Colin Brown here from Business Credit Unlimited, and I'm back. You know what to do. Make sure you hit the like button right now because who else is putting it down like this? Telling you how to get 500K in business funding in 2025. So this is updated information, not the information that people are just regurgitating that they saw from someone else's video on YouTube. This is the real deal because I've been able to get a client over 700K of business funding. So yes, it is possible. Like Garth here, it even says it here. If you zoom in here, you'll see. I said, hey, you're at 500K now. He said, yes. You ready to get some more money? He was like, yes, please. And this was a 100K approval here that we see that he just got with US Bank. But you need to know how to get 500K and what you need as far as qualification wise to get there. So again, you're going to have to stick all the way through. I know the most exciting part is going to be the banks and everything else, but I'm telling you, you need to chill and just watch the whole thing through. I promise you, this is going to be the best video that you've ever watched if you're looking for business funding as far as information and value if you stick all the way through. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump right on in because we have a lot of information to cover. So that's Garth there, Instagram, all that stuff, and him talking about getting 500K plus in business funding. Now, what do you need to get approved? So normally, if I'm looking for 500K, I would go for a mix of products, meaning business lines of credit, business credit cards, and business loans to hit that number. So what do you need to get approved for 500K in business funding? Well, normally you're going to need a mix of products from multiple banks to hit this number. So not just, multiple banks, but a mix of products too as well. It really depends on the business owner and your qualifications. But normally you're going to want to hit multiple banks and you're going to want to have a mix of products. So here are the three main business funding products. When you hear the term business funding, what does that actually mean? Business loans, business lines of credit, and business credit cards are the three main business funding products. So if you hear that term, that's what it means. Normally, one of these three things, there are a lot of different types within these categories, but those are the three main. Okay. Now, how much funding you can get relies on several factors like your strategy, which banks you go to, when you go to the banks, if you have any type of inside connections, if you have any business relationship managers, how well you optimize, so on and so forth. Now, these are the real deciding factors on how much money you're able to secure and how long it will take to secure it. I promise you that. That's the boring things that, well, some of it not as boring, but some of the stuff on the back end is the boring things and not as sexy things that will actually get you more funding. However, to keep it simple, just the things that you need on the front end, not even including the strategy and everything else. Let's break it down and make it simple. We will categorize this, I end that out, into only three different categories: time in business, documentation/revenue, and your personal credit score. So how much funding you're able to get will depend on these three different categories, okay? Now let's break down time in business. Y'all still here? Make sure you hit the like button if you haven't yet and subscribe because I'm going to keep putting these videos out, all right? And comment below as well what your questions are up to this point. But let's get it. Time in business. What does time in business mean? The amount of time your LLC has been established directly affects how much funding you will be able to secure. Now, most banks view tenured businesses as safer to lend to, and in businesses that are newer, they view it as more risky to lend to, right? It just makes perfect sense. Side note, if you haven't started your LLC yet, you need to get that started yesterday, because the time that you have established your LLC will have a direct effect on how much you get approved for. Even though you could take an LLC that's a day old and get 50 to 150K with it, still it's going to be better. Nobody's honest is ever going to say, okay, well, I prefer a newer LLC versus an age LLC. It's not that you can't do it. It's that it makes it easier. It's a smoother process. Okay. It's less strategized and less things that you have to do to get that amount. So having a more tenured LLC is better than not having it. But if you haven't started your LLC yet and you're watching this, just start it. You don't have to know exactly what you're going to do at this point. You don't have to have the perfect name. Just start it. Okay. Now, back to regular scheduled programming. Let's be specific though. How much time do you need in business for 500K? Because keep in mind, everything that I'm going over here is for business owners that's looking to get 500K, or you're curious about what the requirements are. So this is all about 500K here, not just for 50 or 150K. But if you're looking to get 500K in funding from the banks, let's talk about what you would need. So specifically, time in business. Normally 2+ years in an LLC will be golden, but the more the better, like I was just saying. And you will pretty much be good to go at 3 years, 3+ years for 90% plus of the products. Because most businesses, I haven't seen someone ask for like 4 years of tax returns or 4 years of this or that. Normally 3 full years, not just, 2 years and some change, but 3 full calendar years. Normally you're good to go. But of course, that can change depending on the bank. But that's not a big ask. Like 2 to 3 years, just having an established LLC is not a huge ask, right? Now, can you purchase an age corporation? Yes. But just know that some banks will require that you are the primary owner of the purchase age corp for the required amount of time, as if you started it yourself. So this is a screenshot directly from Chase's requirements for their business line of credit. And if you read here, it says to be approved, your business must be at least 2 years old and under the same majority ownership for at least 2 years. So if you purchase an age corp, it won't be under the same majority ownership for that same time period unless it's been 2 years since you purchased it, right? And you're the main owner now. So this is a screenshot directly from Chase's website. As I said, it shows that you must have majority ownership for 2 years, therefore making a purchase age corp time irrelevant if you haven't actually owned it for 2+ years. Now, documentation. What do the banks require? Normally, documentation is broken down into no doc, low doc, and full doc. No documentation is no documentation at all whatsoever. So you're basically getting money from the banks, and you're not showing any type of proof of income or verification of revenue or anything like that at all. Most clients like staying here. They don't want to provide any documentation at all. And I don't have a problem with that, because myself, I like getting no doc products too as well. But there's a time for low and full docs too as well, depending on the amounts that you're going for, so on and so forth. But let's talk about it. Low documentation. Normally only business bank statements for 3 to 6 months would pretty much be low documentation, but it could be shorter or even longer, like 1 month, but which is not common. Normally the lowest you'll see is like 3 months, and it could be higher than 6 months, but normally 3 to 6 months is the time you would see if a bank asks you for low documentation, aka just business statements, no tax returns or anything else. Now, full documentation. This is the whole front yard, right? The whole kitchen sink, as they say. Normally can include, but not limited to, business bank statements for 3 to 6+ months, tax returns for 1 to 3 years, but also those are the main two that you will see, like tax returns and bank statements, tax returns, bank statements. However, depending on the size of the loan, depending on the bank, it can get a lot deeper. I've been asked for profit and loss statements, business projections, business plans, debt schedules, so on and so forth. So depending on the size of the loan that you're getting, you could get asked for a lot more than that. So just keep that in mind. Now, what documentation specifically would you need for 500K in funding? Because again, everything here is about 500K. All right. So what would you need for no docs? You want to pull out 500K with no docs. The odds are quite low. Possible, but not probable. And I'm assuming that you're not working with someone like me. I'm assuming that you don't have business banking relationship managers or things like that. If you don't, it is quite low. Now, 500K is technically possible with no docs. However, you got to be in certain states and different things like that. And you got to be working with someone like me that has access to a bank and the insider that could get that done. I'm going to just keep it there. We have something going on for our clients here soon. And I'm going to just keep it there. I ain't going to say too much because again, I'm assuming that you don't have access to me in different things like that. Now for low docs, still very possible, but even with the best scenarios, you're not looking at a high chance that this is going to happen. 500K with just bank statements, I'm going to put that at a 10 to 30% or so chance that you'll be able to pull this off. But if your bank statements have revenue of 50K plus a month, it is much more likely that you can make this happen. So with 50K plus a month, say, especially if you're doing, $1 million in revenue. So that's technically $83,000, $333 a month in revenue. If you are currently generating that or more, it's more likely that you would be able to get access to 500K plus without even showing tax returns, but still it's quite low because again, you'd have to go to multiple banks to kind of secure that amount. You have to really know what you're doing because again, I'm assuming that you don't. All right. If you're here, I'm assuming that you don't know exactly which banks you would go to, right? Because you probably would be doing that right now if you knew or just working with me and we'd be doing it together. But, if you're doing it with someone, it's not as hard. But again, by yourself, it's going to be a pretty tough task. Now, full docs, 100% possible and probable if you meet the requirements within having a docs. I'm not saying like 3 years in business and you file tax returns, but you're not making any money, because we'll talk about revenue requirements in just a second here. But if you have the docs, full docs, and you're making the revenue, time in business, personal profile, yeah, you just got to have all three on point, just like my client Garth did. That's how he was able to get 500K in funding, which included 150K. And this shows the little screenshot of that right there with a 25K 0% business credit card from First Citizens Bank, 108K from PNC Revenue, 50K, 100K from US Bank. I broke down all of the banks that we went to for Garth 2 as well in another video. I'll put that in the description below. Now, you do have to have all those things on point if you're looking to get 500K. And let me cut in here real quick rant. The reason I'm making this video too is that you guys need to know what's possible. There are a lot of lies out there. There's a lot of people that's just making spreadsheets and saying that people are getting approved for 650K, 750K, no docs and all this. It's a lie. It's a lie, guys. I promise you that. Nobody's just running off these super high numbers with individuals with just no documentation. You just starting a business and all that. It's a complete and utter lie. Like I said, is it possible? Given the right scenarios, given the right bank, given the right connection. There aren't many banks out there. But like I said, something is about to roll out for my active clients. I'm going to leave it there. But for the most part, I'm telling you, these guys are lying. It's not going to happen. You at least would have to have an on-point personal profile and a business a business that has been established for at least 2 years. But especially without those two things, I'm telling you, I promise you, it's not going to happen. Don't fall for the lies and BS that's out here where they can't show you actual screenshots. They can't show the actual client that they talk to or anything like that. They just throwing out random numbers. So that's another reason why I'm making this video, to show you what's possible and what's not possible and what you have to have. Now, let's talk about revenue requirements. So if you are looking for 50 to 150K, I'm going to get to 500K. But say if you're only looking for 50 to 150K, No revenue is required at this amount. I mean, $0. You haven't generated a red penny for your business. You can get 50 to 150K. For us generating that for a client, that's just Tuesday. That's just Tuesday at 12 o'clock p.m. Okay, this is not a big deal for us at all. This is baby numbers, rookie numbers, all day, every day. Like my client Christopher here, he got 155K. It was about 3 months. Yeah, it was about 3 months. He got 155K. He showed no docs for none of his approvals. He showed absolutely no docs at all. So business revenue didn't matter. Now for 150 to 250K, can you get 250K with no docs? Absolutely. 100%. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. No doubt at all. You can. We've done it before. 100%. Like my client Rasul got 260K. He showed no docs at all for his funding. However, low doc at least is preferred. So if you at least have bank statements where you're generating 10 to 30K plus in revenue, it's going to be preferred, meaning it's going to be a lot smoother, right? Because a lot of things have to align perfectly if you want to get 250K in funding with absolutely no docs at all, especially depending on the time of business. You guys just coming in with a business that's only been established for 2 months, your personal profile is decent, but you're not like 830 plus personal credit score, and you're still looking to get that much with no docs. If we're talking about especially credit products, I mean, the chances are quite low, my friend, my good friend. The chances are quite low. Can I get a thumbs up for honesty? Because a lot of people ain't going to tell y'all this because they just want to throw out these high numbers and not actually bring context to it. And again, this is coming from someone that actually does this. I know what's out there. I know what banks are looking for because I actually do it. And this leads to another rant real quick. Do you know how many clients I've had that are now clients at least, but they talk to me and then they talk to someone else, and the other person promised these large numbers, 250K, 500K, and different things like that. And I told them the truth. I was like, hey, I'm looking at your profile, about 75 to 150K. I'm thinking we could probably get higher than that too, but just to be on the safe side, 75 to 150K based on what I'm seeing here. They didn't go with me because they heard the bigger number. The other guy told them, or gal, told them the higher number. So they went with them, got over there, worked with somebody, got completely disappointed, and then came back over here to me because deep down they were like, I know this guy is probably tell the truth, but since he's saying a higher number, let me just go over there just in case. And then they end up coming back to me. Can I get a thumbs up for the honesty here? I'm just telling you, like, it goes down like that a lot of times. So you don't want to fall victim to that. Like, these are the things that you really need here, okay? And I'm tired of even selling it to you like that, but I have to tell you directly because a lot of you guys just don't understand that when it comes to funding. But either way, we move on. For 150 to 250K without strategy, it will be very difficult for this amount too as well, especially with no documentation and if the business is new. But if your business is not new, 2+ years, you got documentation, even at low doc, it's probable, right? But if you have full docs, if you have tax returns for a year, 2 years, 3 years, it's going to be a lot easier to get this. And what do I mean by ease? Like, what makes the difference between, like, why do I keep saying if it's smoother or easier? Because you can get higher limits. So the higher limits that you can get, it's the less banks you have to go to. And the less banks you have to go to, the less strings you have to pull, the less relationships you have to build, the faster it will be. You get it? So that's what makes the whole strategy a lot easier. If I can get 250K from one bank, then the process is smooth. But if I have to do it from 2 banks, that's extremely smooth. But it's just more than one, right? Or 3. But if it takes us 10 banks to get 250K, you got 250K, but look how many banks we had to go to get that amount, right? Which is still 10 banks for 250K is an average at 25K a bank, which is not an issue. But I'm saying if I could get that with even less, then we would do that, right? So that's what makes it smoother. I like smooth processes. I like easier outcomes for my clients. I like to do the least amount of banks as possible to get the highest amount of numbers, right? And if you're looking for 500K, you're looking for 500K. I'm just telling you, like, you're going to need these things beforehand if you want to hit that amount. You don't have to listen to it. Hey, but it is what it is. Like I said, business or revenue in business around even 10 to 30K monthly in gross revenue will put you in a great position to get 150 to 250K. Okay. Now, you want 500K plus. Typically, you want to generate 30 to 50K plus in gross revenue monthly to get 500K in funding. So, meaning you're not transferring cash into your business checking account, meaning your business is generating 30 to 50K plus in revenue consistently, for 3 to 6 plus months. Really, for best results, for at least 1 to 3 years consistently in averaging, right? Like if you have 10K one month even, but you did 80K one month or whatever, it'll average out. But I'm just giving you kind of a roundabout number that you would want to shoot for to get 500K plus in funding. But I'm telling you, you want 500K plus in funding, especially you out there by yourself. You just applying by yourself. You have no connections. Good luck. Good luck, buddy. I'm telling you. So this is not including the documentation required as well. So you can do this with no docs, like I said, but normally for 500K, you're going to want full docs for this, especially with actually having a profitable business in those tax returns. You're running a 20% plus profit margin on your tax returns that's showing, because if you're not profitable, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get funding once you show tax returns. Showing tax returns is one thing, but the actual gross revenue and the net amount and it actually being a profit is a whole nother thing, right? So this is something to consider. Now, what limits can you expect here? Business credit card limits. Y'all keep on. Hey, look, a little bit longer. I need you guys to understand this information, okay? It's very, very important so you know where you are, where you stand. So if you're looking for 500K, you know how long it's going to take or what will be required, all right? So stick with me a little bit longer here, all right? I know some of this information is the most sexy again, but I'm getting there. Now, business credit card limits. How much funding can you expect? Most business credit card limits, a lot of people think that business credit card limits, like you're going to apply and just get 50K limits from every bank. And that's just not true. Like most business credit card limits normally only range from 10 to 25K. This is without docs, without prior relationship, without prioritizing optimizing for a higher limit. That's normally all you're going to get, right? But you can get up to 100K with just one card with one limit. Like my client Clinton here showed us how he got 100K at 0% interest from 12 months from Chase. But this is not the norm, and one should not expect these results, especially without docs, without a business relationship manager, and with just a decent credit profile. Speaking of a decent credit profile, really quickly, what is a decent credit profile? A 750 plus credit score would be safe. Utilization in the single digits, 3+ years of credit history, 25K plus in total credit limits, and the highest credit limit being 15K, and then also no negatives. That will put you in a great position for having a personal profile that the banks will be looking for, right? And if you're thinking about no docs, it's possible too, but more what we talked about earlier as far as you needing to have the business that's generating more revenue. And I have a video about how to get access to this amount of funding with no docs too as well. I'll put that in the description too. Now, business lines of credit. Normally 10 to 50K. This is without docs too as well, with no relationship, without optimizing for a higher limit within that bank. But a business line of credit just one limit can be 500K alone, just from one business line of credit. Like me personally, I have a business line of credit from Chase for $150,000. I'll put that video in the description as well. But to get limits exceeding 100K plus, you will mainly need a business that's generating over 100K plus annually. So Of course, that's $8,333 monthly. But really, I would want to see you at 10K plus annual, monthly, to expect a limit above 100K when it comes to a business line of credit. It's possible, but there are not many out there, you guys. I promise you that. There's not too many banks that's going to give you 100K plus with just no docs. Business hasn't generated any revenue. You got no relationship with that bank, so on and so forth. So the more your business generates, meaning the revenue, the more options that you have available to you. Now, there are still options for 250K with no docs at all. But like I said, it's not the norm. And the odds of you getting access to this opportunity like this without working with someone like me or having connections is slim to none. Now, business loans. How much funding can you expect from business loans? Depending on the business loan and the provider, like the SBA, you can get up to $5 million in business loans. There is really no cap. Especially like the larger corporations, they can get access to even more than 5 million. It's not a big deal. But most business loans, if you're talking about exceeding like 100K plus, they will require at least a minimum of a low doc, meaning just bank statements, if not full documentation. Most banks will require full documentation, right? You're not getting 500K in cash from any institution with no docs. Notice I said cash. Business credit cards, business lines of credit, possible, but you ain't getting 500K in cash from nobody with no docs at all. Just you can forget about it, okay? For no docs, you can't expect to get up to 50K depending on the bank with no docs, or at least low docs, but also it's not, there aren't just a million options out there to get 50K plus of cash in a business loan with no docs. With low docs, yeah. I mean, low docs, heck yeah, man. No problem. Now, here is the funding strategy. This is how I would get 500K plus in business funding. Now, this strategy would depend greatly on this business owner's preference and their business needs, but this is just a sample of something I would do if I was looking for that amount of funding and I met the requirements. So I would do a 100 to 150K in business credit cards. Now, depending on your business, you may not be able to do any in business credit cards or want to, but the 0% business credit cards is hard to beat 0%. And I feel that almost every business, if not virtually every business, has some charge that they can use on a business credit card, some type of software, something that you pay for that you could pay, get points and rewards for it, and not have to pay any interest on it, okay, without using your cash and tying up your cash. So that's why I would still do business credit cards, but I would do the majority of it with business lines of credit because it mixes the best of both worlds. You have access to credit and you got access to cash as you need it. So I would do 150 to 250K plus in a line of credit. You might do all 500K in the lines of credit. Really depends. But I would only do 100 to 250K in business loans to round it out. It really depends, though. Could be more, could be even less if I was looking for 500K. Now, for business credit cards, here are some sample cards that you can go for. You got Chase Bank. That could go, I put 100K starting out. Well, that's accurate because if you're here and you're at this point, you're looking for 500K, you can get 100 to 150K just from Chase Bank. Citizens Bank 50K, American Express 25 to 50, US Bank 50 to 100K. And I put 3 different options here to round you out. Key Bank, PNC, Bank of America 25 to 75K. Right now, business lines of credit, if I was going for no doc, I would go for Wells Fargo, TD Bank, or Key Bank, or a combination of all 2 or 3. And they're normally all like 10 to 50K. That's at no docs. Now, if I'm going full docs, I would go with different banks because I know Chase will go up to 250K. I know US Bank will also go up to 250K, as will PNC Bank. So these are great options if you have the documentation and plus the relationship to go forward with these banks. Now, for business loans, if you're looking for low doc or even no doc, it's best to go with alternative lenders like an On Deck, a Funding Circle, a Fundbox, or a BHG Financial, or even a Blue Vine. Now, for full docs, SBA hands down is the best option to get a 500K plus. business loan, or maybe not even that much, right? The combination, if you're looking for 500K, 100K, 200, 150K is all possible with the SBA. Best option, hands down, even though there are plenty other options, right? Like all the banks here, they all offer business loans too as well, but the best option will be the SBA for sure, the Small Business Administration. Now, look, most of what I went over here is assuming that you are going after funding without any relationship manager, without any connections, etc. But with the connections that I have and the banks I have access to, 500K is possible without needing, say, 50K plus in monthly revenue, and without having full documentation and tax returns. Just in case you don't have those things yet, you're probably here because you don't have all these documentations and different things like that already set up, right? So do you need up to 250K, or even qualify for even more than 250K? You qualify for 500K. Well, hit the resource in the description and set up a survey. I ain't in and out. Set up a call with our team by filling out a quick survey to see if you meet the criteria. We'll hop on a call, build you out a customized funding strategy specific for you and your business, and talk about how much funding we can get you within the next 30 days. But that's pretty much it. Make sure that you like this video. Comment down below what state you represent and what is your business that you're either start, growing, or scaling. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.